Before we begin, thank you very much to By Primus's Beard. When will Studio Series 86 Scar be released? For joining the Patreon campaign. I want one in the style of Studio Series, but I don't think it's ever going to be in Studio Series because it was never in a studio. It's never been on screen. But thank you for enjoying Scar as much as I do, and thank you for the support. It means everything to me to help you. The help to keep this channel alive is, priceless to me. Thank you, everyone. Okay, it is time once again for our for our monthly Q&A video. There's over 170 to get through. A lot of comments though, so we'll try to get through these very quickly. So if you're new here, if you want something answered by me in the next month's Q&A, you can leave it in the comment section below. We do have some rules that should be pinned by the time you hear this. Number one, make sure it is a very quick question. Nothing that makes me think a long time about the answer, try to pick my brain through 40 years of Transformers history just to formulate the exact answer that you need. Quick, punchy, so we can get a lot of people in. Two, one question per person. I will ignore a multiple question. Again, trying to get as many people answered as possible here. Three, if you have a comment, please just mark it as comment so we can just get through it and we're not wasting time here. Okay? There's a few others. Use common sense. Nothing that's against TOS. Nothing that gets personal. Ask me just about anything, but just, use common sense. That's all. Okay. If I think of another rule, because I'm sure there is one, I'll leave it in the I'll leave it in the pinned comments. So now let's go ahead. This will be fun because my sinus infection is cleared, but it's still randomly producing gunk. So I might have to stop here or there. Okay, but first up, once Earthspark is done, would you open to another Transformers anime, or I guess you just mean any cartoon in general? I need to work through Transformers Prime episode reviews. I wanted to give special attention to Earthspark because it's the current cartoon, and it's a really good cartoon. So that is why it becomes a focus and a full day's worth of content sometimes on the channel. Once they do Season 2, I will do it the same exact way. And in the meantime, no. I'll leave that to the little mini episode reviews that I should be doing. Let's see. Whoa. What happened here? Okay, sorry about that. Thing glitched out. We had a couple ahead of this. But that's okay. Considering we just finished spooky season by the time of this Q&A, was your favorite horror/spooky themed Transformers episode? He gives a few comments. He gives a few suggestions. The one that comes to mind is Thirst from Transformers Prime, because it really does hit a lot of good horror elements. What's your thoughts on Big Bad Toy Store? P.S. You accidentally skipped my question last time. I apologize. It's very hard to make sure I get through everybody. I'm fine with Big Bad. I don't really have any issue with them or thought about them. They used to sponsor the channel, so woohoo. They're fine. I have Entertainment Earth these days, but that's how that goes. Would Beast Wars, Megatron, and Magmatron be buddies? No evil villain leader for the Decepticons or Predacons would ever be friendly with each other. They're too power hungry. They're too much about control and domination. No, they would not be buddies. None of the leaders would be buddies. Do you still collect Lego sets, and what sets appeal to you? I really haven't gotten Lego in a long time. I just don't have the time to put it together. I've got a whole bunch just piled up. I'm looking up in my closet right now. I can see the Sesame Street set. I see another modular building. Those are the only ones I really go for. If I spot one I really like. I still like the modulars. I want the Sonic sets because they do everything that I wish the Mario sets did. See, do you think Inhumanoids could work as Hasbro's horror franchise? I mean, the body horror definitely kind of works for that. I don't think they would ever go that route. They'd keep it a kids franchise, but it could work. It could work if they wanted to go that route. Why did Jotaro Kujo not use Star Platinum's Starfinger to defeat Dio's The World? Hasn't watched JoJo. Sorry. What's your absolute favorite uncommon / unknown transformer? Absolute favorite uncommon / unknown transformer. Probably honestly, probably I've given it before. It's Rapido, but that's like childhood memories of that. And then the modern depiction I think is just hilarious. I could definitely go for Rapido in New Fiction. I mean I go for a lot of the G2 characters getting a little bit of fictional support. Hasbro Takara call you up one day and give you the freedom to develop an original combiner team. Who'd you make their overall theme? We've had the combiner question on here before. I was trying to think of like areas we haven't gone to in combiners, and part of it was like something in my head said avian, like different types of birds. That one came to mind. We've covered a lot. Marine vehicles as well is an area we haven't really covered. You know, we got like speedboats and yachts for forming up like different limbs, and then like a big oil tanker or something for the body. Might not be the most interesting combiner, but it's an area we haven't gone to before. What's your favorite deep dive rabbit hole in Transformers? Bludgeon's history, Prowl 2's whole history, Kamen Rider V3, and Spotlight Trail Cutter. Or Ask Vector Prime. Ask Vector Prime isn't even a rabbit hole, it's a bottomless pit. Honestly, like putting it all together for a video was a headache and a half, but Prowl 2's whole history is kind of fascinating to go through. That was a whole night of me just kind of clicking links and just going, wait, there's more? So that's probably the good answer there. Is the TJOmega full collection video within the realm of possibility? Honestly, no. My room really isn't laid out for a really good collection view type thing. And frankly, the majority of my collection is in bins now. I just don't have the space to keep it all out anymore. That's just how it goes. I don't think it's suitable for a collection tour anymore. How would you go about making a Transformers Metroidvania game? That is difficult. I definitely set it on Cybertron so we could get into the depths and really like open up have more options to the map other than just like underground facilities and caves, which is what we'd be stuck on in Earth. To plot out the entire like how it all work, like power-ups, how to get integrated the vehicle mode. That's way too much. That you're basically asking me to design a video game in this like little punchy Q&A section. Suffice to say, I'm not sure it would actually work. Mostly because the transformation element would be really hard to work in. Owl House question. Hi. Do you think a Caleb and Philip spin-off series could work? Not especially. I've never been a fan of prequels, because like there's no suspense. You put the characters in a dangerous situation. Oh gee, I wonder if they're gonna make it, says the person who saw the series that takes place in the future already. Also, Philip is such a despicable character. I don't want to see a series where he's half the focus. No, there's way more interesting directions to go there. I know you like TTRPGs, you like mecha robots. Have you heard of Lancer, the mech RPG? Honestly, no. You're very long. Well, not very long, but like this blurb is all I know of Lancer. Sounds neat, but I don't know. I mean, I'm too much in my D&D head to really go for it. Can you tell us about the warning guy in your random review videos? So that's Sam Gabriel. You'll find his name and the link to his website at the end of every video. He is a professional voice actor who was very nice enough to offer to record those for me. I came up with the lines. That is not a thing that he came up with. So, and he's offered to do more. I just don't do random review often enough these days to really like justify having like a bigger pile. There's already 15 openings. If you were a Cybertronian, what would you want your vehicle mode to be? Now, we've already kind of gone over this before. Now, if it's got to be a vehicle, it's going to be some kind of jet. I like the more like assault platform style jets like Energon Megatron. That's a little bit more my speed. If we're going beast mode, if I get to pick anything, I keep saying it's going to be a Griffin. I keep saying it would be a Griffin. Do you think it'd be possible to tier rank the shows I did for TJTV? TJTV is such a weird like nexus that I don't know that most of my current audience even knows. That I'm not sure that would actually fly. You know, especially because most of the episodes, like only half the episodes, are still online, and none of them are on YouTube. So it's a very weird area. I don't know if I would actually go for that. See, what's your favorite Power Rangers or Super Sentai and why? So Power Rangers is probably somewhere like In Space or RPM. In Space because like it's just like they tried very hard to make that season as epic as possible, and I think they succeeded. But for like RPM, I think they did an incredible job creating post-apocalyptic Power Rangers with the goofiest designs they could possibly be saddled with. Yeah, I think it worked out really well. And then, if I have to keep clearing my voice, a sinus infection. Hi. And then Super Sentai is Bokenger, because I love the designs, I love the mech, and I love the sense of adventure. I love adventure themes. Now, what do I think about Iron Factory's Transformer Samurai line? Looks really, really cool. And it's one of those areas of third party I actually really like because it's something Hasbro would never do. Hasbro would never do like an entire run of G1 characters with some sort of like aesthetic motif like, you know, samurai. You know, so it's very interesting. I've got the Grimlock. Someone was very nice to get it off of my throne for me. I did a review and I actually really, really like it. Do I think making Starscream or Shockwave female in the new TF series would be a good idea? There's such intertwined legacy characters, I don't think you could get away with that. Typically, I would say like it's whatever works best for the story. But those two characters in particular are so hardwired into being who they are, I'm not sure you could gender swap them. You know, do Skywarp, yeah, because let's be honest, Skywarp's just kind of a generic thug in G1. There's not a whole lot to be lost there. But Starscream, Shockwave, probably not. Brief thoughts on switching G1 Silverbolt from a Concorde to a C-17 military transport plane to give him the mass to hide combiner kibble like Legacy Motormaster did. I don't think that's necessary. I really don't. It would be difficult to actually engineer a combiner the same way they did with Motormaster, but I don't think you switch them from a Concorde. I really don't. If you like, because if you're doing that, you're going to try and create a definitive set of aerial bots. If you switch the vehicle mode, you're just going to have people complaining. And now it's not definitive, and now you got to go and do it again. And then you're just going to get a whole bunch of backlash along with it, even if it's a really good video. So, it's what it is. Let's see. What is your favorite piece of art or storyline you have drawn or created? I haven't told my favorite storyline I've created. Favorite piece of art, I'm just kind of like I can't really think of one offhand. But storyline, that's for the D&D campaign that I am homebrewing. I'm literally making an entire world and the backstory behind the world, so that's got a lot to it. And hopefully a story I will tell someday, but my players need to experience it first. Do you think the Armada Optimus Prime was an updated version of Power Master Optimus or an homage to him as both became a smaller part of both trails? No. I do not think that's an homage, an update, or anything. Transformers Armada was a hard reset, do everything fresh from the ground up. I don't think just because it's a super mode, Optimus Prime, does not mean it's an homage or an updated version of the previous one who did it. They do the same thing, radically different in implementation, though. You know, it's like asking, like, do I think, do I think G2 Megatron is supposed to be an updated Brawl because they're both tanks? No. Do you feel like staying so faithful to Generation 1 design holds Hasbro toy designers back from creating all new characters in the mainline series? Or do you feel that having to adhere to those characters is all more creative engineering tricks? Both. Both. Because we are stuck on the nostalgia train to earn enough money to keep this franchise going, we have to stick to the G1 designs, and yes, that does get it limiting, and it does make it hard for them to create brand new characters. However, because they have to do the same characters over and over, they do get really creative in how they transform. Take a look at all the different ways they've transformed Starscream over the years. Look at the core class Starscream. It's got an incredibly unique transformation. So, it's both. It's really both. That said, Cyberverse, Earthspark, they both introduced new characters. We have had new characters. You have to go looking. Since Hasbro are bringing back mini-cons with brand new molds, you think we see them do it with Godmasters? Probably not. See, here's the thing with mini-cons is that they work as independent toys. Godmasters don't. Power Masters, for those following along with the English version. They just turn into engines, and the engines plug into the vehicles to let them transform into robot mode. I always hated that gimmick. Because it never makes sense to me that the core of a transformer would be like locked behind a little mini guy who has to be along for the ride. It doesn't make sense to me. And no, I don't think we're ever going to see those again. I know some people don't like it, but how do you feel about Optimus faceplate being removable combat mask? Again, it is whatever it is. Here's the thing. I prefer the faceplate, but I prefer the faceplate if you actually make it move up and down like he's speaking. If it's just like covers over his mouth, like it's part of his helmet, it looks weird. If you're going to have him talk with the mouth plate has to move, period. Let's see. Thank you for the kind comment, by the way. I have a feeling they'll do blood. No comment. Since Tarn's part of Legacy, do you think we'll get the rest of the DJD? We answered a lot of DJD questions in the last Q&A. The simple answer is no, because the other ones aren't nearly as prominent or popular as Tarn, and you'd have to figure out how to actually create alternate modes that aren't torture devices, which would get difficult. What do you think is the most over/underhyped figure? That's difficult. Like you mentioned Missing Link Prime, and I can understand that. It's definitely just aiming for a very specific demographic. As far as like overhyped, underhyped, that's difficult. That's really difficult to pin down. Because there's a ton. There's a ton over the years where people hype it up as like the best toy ever, and then I get it in my hands and go, it's okay. It's whatever. Dark of the Moon Skyhammer was like that. The helicopter, the original figure for the line, like everyone at the time went nuts. Like, oh my god, it's such a good mold. And I got my hands on that mold and I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. It's not the be-all, end-all of anything. It's it's a taste thing, really. With two prominent good Megatrons being shown, how would a bad Optimus go? Not Nemesis, just a Prime got persuaded to join the Decepticons. I don't think that's possible. I think you can have a Megatron who realizes what he was attempting to do with his war is not what he is currently attempting. That he can actually see his error and correct it. I can't imagine an Optimus Prime being corrupted to the point where he would actually willingly become a Decepticon. That goes against literally everything that Optimus ever stood for, whereas Megatron went from being a good guy to a horrible villain and then back to being a good guy. So it is what it is. Can you please give a hint as to what was under that tantalizing big black sensor box? If I wanted you to know what was under the sensor box, I wouldn't have censored it. Suffice to say, someone just suggested a really, really bad thing that I did not want anyone else seeing. Nothing offensive, but just very bad, very badly thought by them. If you were to combine different years in the original G1 toy line, how would you go about writing a story for it? So, if you didn't ask me to write a story, so we can actually answer this. Simply put, like, I just go through like the most interesting characters from an underused year of Transformers and just see who fits in with a prior cast. So like if I wanted characters, like if I wanted the 86 characters to actually have a few Action Masters floating around, I'd try to figure out who was the most interesting and who would fit in and actually like complement the cast rather than just like standing out like, oh, huh, what's Circuit doing here? I don't know. Do you think Hasbro's going to do Animated Prime or Unicron Trilogy again years after the end of Legacy? I think they'll do it the year after Legacy. I think we're just kind of on this train of just like Hasbro's willing to do anything now. So that's exactly what they are going to do. They are literally going to make anything they want, and I don't think they're going to stop that because they need more toys and they need different places to go. See, since you started working at the toy shop, are there any toy lines you started collecting because you were exposed to them at the toy store? Unfortunately, the only one that comes to mind is Funko Pops. I kind of gave in and started getting a bunch of them based on, because eventually Funko's going to do stuff that you are like really attached to, and it's going to be the only merch that that thing has. For me, it was the Mystery Science Theater 3000 robots that cracked the shell. But that said, I'm also way over Pops at this point. I do not intend to ever buy another one. What do you think of Voyager? Not the show, just the ship itself. The original. We've got 4 now. Do you mean like the Voyager ship from Star Trek, or do you mean like the Voyager space actual space vehicles in real life? Which, you know, I know very little of. The Voyager spaceship, it's fine. It just kind of looks like every other Federation ship, just a lot pointier. And the nacelles do a little like curve, like bend up thing. That's weird. I know why, fictionally, why they do it. It's still weird. If you had an ideal team of wreckers, would they focus more on obscure characters to shine a spotlight on, or more popular ones that people will recognize? I don't think it counts as a team of wreckers if you recognize everyone on the team. The whole spirit of the wreckers is that they are the Black Ops team of the Autobots. Thus, they are made of characters that are absent from everywhere else in fiction. They're not in the cartoons, they're not in the major comic books, because they're the Black Ops underground team that you're not supposed to know about. So it's got to be obscure. It's got to be obscure. Artfire, Roadbuster, Roadbuster is usually in the Wreckers. Quick Shadow is an interesting pull. The idea of a rescue bot character as a wrecker is hilarious to me. What's the best jumping on point for Kamen Rider? Honestly, like, at this point, I tell people just like look at the themes, and if it looks fun to you, just give it a watch. Don't start with Decade. People tell you to start with Decade because it's a little bit of every writer that came before. Don't start with Decade. It spoils all the other series. If you want to go back and see them, you get major plot points spoiled. I usually say, like, I love O's. I've gotten friends into it with X-Aid. That's just a really weird visually a really weird series. What else is a really good starting point now? I mean, I got people in on Forza too. It's a very lighthearted series, but it gives you the idea of what modern writer is. And then you work into the more heavy stuff like Gaim. Who was your favorite wrecker? It really kind of depends on the fiction. Roadbuster's usually up there. Iron Fist from IDW's take, I actually really liked. But again, depends on the fiction. Sometimes it might be Rack and Ruin. What's your opinion on Godzilla Final Wars? It's been a long time since I saw Final Wars, admittedly, so memory's not that clear. Generally, I like just about any Godzilla, even the bad stuff. I just like giant monsters smashing buildings and each other. You excited for the Memorial Edition Gabu Revolver? Kind of. I've kind of fallen off of Sentai. And the new stuff with Kyoryuger, I'm like, where's King? Where's the main character? This is weird. I I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's cool that it's coming out, but I'm not like, I don't have a pre-order and I don't intend to go after it or anything. Is there any individual combiner character you'd like to see in their own, on their own in a story? I've always been a Technobot guy, and the two from my childhood I remember the most was Lightspeed, who I lost my original one, and Afterburner, who I still have my original one. So either of those two, I'd love to see get some kind of extra fiction. Why does Hasbro sometimes paint weapons everywhere but the handle rather than just molding them in the intended color? Because the intended color isn't always available. Sometimes a figure's not going to have gunmetal gray. Sometimes the character's not going to have, like bright blue or whatever the gun happened to be colored traditionally. And a lot of times it's because that the weapon accessory can be put on any mold sprue they want. So they'll usually end up somewhere where the mold has a little bit of room to spare. That way that, rather than just like hooking it up to like whatever random sprue that, comes next. It's usually like a space filler. So if it ends up being in the wrong color, it's easier just to paint over the whole thing. It comes down to molding patterns. It comes down to how they actually make the mold. And just where it works. Let's see, introduce combiners for Earthspark. Technically, too, I already foresee possible future repaints, minor retooling. I wonder, are they going to touch on duplicate robotics? Maybe even explain more about Cybertronian relationships. Or like to see Rewind, his favorite lover, to show up. I don't necessarily. Okay. Let's be honest here. They kind of got in trouble already trying to do a non-binary character, which I absolutely support. I think you're just gonna get. I think you're just inviting trouble again if you actually put Rewind and Chrome Dome in there. You're not going to see that. It wouldn't surprise me if we got to actually see like some kind of romantic relationship for the series, but it's not going to be same gendered. I don't think it's going to be anyone established. It's going to be something weird. Like Starscream and Hashtag. I'm sure someone out there has got the fanfic already. How would you do a Star Seeker cast, and who would the members be that you would pick from members of the team? Again, you're asking me to pick from thousands of characters and create a cast of pirates. So no, I'm not answering that one in this length. I'm not a big fan on the Star Seeker concept in the first place, if we're going to be completely honest. Do you consider combined forms that are not a big robot, but a vehicle or weapon, combiner gestalt? Well, technically, yeah. Technically, any, like... Well, no. Because a gestalt is an actual entity. Like, it's a combiner. Like, the Skyboom shield is a combiner. But it's not a gestalt because it doesn't have a shared mind, Like, the minicons just kind of become a thing. They just become, like, an object. And there's no, like, consciousness that, like, overtakes the whole thing. When they combine base modes, you can give a name to the base, but the bases are not sharing a mind. So, combiner, yes. Gestalt, no. If the Dinobots ran a restaurant, what sort of cuisine would they serve, and would Grimlock still be a waiter? No, Grimlock would want to be the king. Like, he'd want to run the whole thing, because he just make Swoop do it. I think anything besides a barbecue restaurant would be the incorrect answer. Am I right on that? It's either that or a steakhouse, one or the other. Let's see. If there's one Autobot that got permanently turned into a Decepticon, who would you sacrifice? Sacrifice is a weird way of phrasing this. I feel like there's a few Autobots that would kind of go over the line, depending on the fiction. Whirl, kinda. Maybe. The one who probably would is Prowl. Like Prowl feels like he's like one, like, especially like an IDW depiction of Prowl, who's already kind of antagonistic. It feels like he's just like one push away from just going, you know what, Megatron's got the right idea. What's your logo based on? Nothing. Everyone assumes the logo is based off of something. It is not. I call it the horned skull. because it's got, because it actually has elements of a skull to it. It's got the horns. It really wasn't anything. I drew it on graph paper one day, and then a couple years later, I decided to curve it and start smoothing it out. And that's what you see today. For a video pitch, what would the story of the Lost Light crew be if it took the place of the Shattered Glass universe? So you're asking for Shattered Glass Lost Light, or like the dimension hopping Lost Light going to the Shattered Glass universe? It's two very different stories, and I think both are interesting. Let's see. How much Sky could Skybite bite if Skybite could bite Sky? He can bite a lot of Sky. How much Sky? 6. 6 Sky. Am I wrong, or should Micromaster's Big Daddy new name be Large Father? It definitely doesn't sound as dirty as Big Daddy, does it? They got away with it, though. There is a Micromaster Big Daddy with a proper name, I think. I don't know. They got away with it in 2007. I remember that one. Do you think Barricade could lead a similar role to Armada Wheeljack? I mean, if you want to market it, if you want to write him in as Prowl's brother, who kind of like went to the dark side, or felt like the Autobots abandoned him, that might work. I kind of like Barricade as just like a polar opposite of Prowl, without like tying in any kind of like familial relationship. I think he's fine as it is. Who's your favorite mutant characters from any continuity of TMNT? Turtle-wise, I'm usually a Michelangelo fan. That was true in the original series, in the 2000s series. I lose track of what year they all came out. The first Nickelodeon show, the CGI one, I actually like Donatello best in that one. As far as like favorite mutants, usually Slash, but not the original cartoon. I didn't like the original cartoon's depiction. My depiction of Slash I like. You have to go to the Archie comic books. That's the Slash I like. This is weird. I bought a bunch of Slash toys over the years thinking like, I remember this being like one of my favorite characters, but like the toys aren't really hitting me. They're based, because they're all like based on the original ones. Eventually NECA did release one that was based on the Archie comics in the olive green and the black bandanas. I'm like, oh, that's what was missing. All right. I'm sure this is something you've discussed before. I want to know your thoughts on light piping. I wish it would return in a bigger way, but I know some think it's ugly on the figure. I personally do not like light piping because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have a halogen bulb behind a toy's head in order to make it look like its eyes are lit up. I understand it makes the toy, like the character, kind of look alive or something, but 9 times out of 10, the figure's going to look like they have black eyes, like they're dead. Black eyes mean dead in Transformers. So, no, I'm not a fan of light piping. Not a fan. The only time light piping ever really worked, Universe 2 Inferno, because it was clear plastic with translucent paint over top. So you still got color in the eyes, and you got a really good eye shine when the light was around the head. That was well done. That should have been light piping for everyone across the board from that point on. Why did Hasbro get rid of size classes like Voyager and Leader classes in Transformer Show toy lines from RID 2005 to Earthspark? It's not that they got rid of them. Those toy lines just never had them. Keep in mind, those are generally aimed at kids, so they focus more on gimmicky toys that can hold a kid's attention a little bit longer. And the actual Transforming Experience toys, keep in mind, we already have so many different toy lines that run all those size classes. They don't want them to eat each other. They want to provide a different price point experience and a lower price point that kids can more easily afford. So, yeah, $15 Warriors, $20 Deluxes. Keep in mind, it is a toy line for small children. So, they are not going to have $55 Leader class toys that don't have big, flashy gimmicks that kids will actually pay attention to. Would you like to see an episodic Transformer series like Justice League Unlimited where episodes focus on different characters and there is rarely a consistent team? That's called G1. What you're asking for is literally Generation 1. Outside of Optimus Prime, it is like especially once you get into season 2, it is rarely the same team of Autobots handling a mission, and most episodes focus on one or two characters at a time. Yeah, we've had that. We've had that. Since you mentioned you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, what is your favorite piece of the lore? The lore for Mortal Kombat is absolutely bonkers. I do love the twist in the current Mortal Kombats, which I won't even spoil if you haven't played through the stories. They're worth it. But for the most part, like, Mortal Kombat lore is like the dumbest lore I've read, but also the most fascinating at the same time. Like, I kind of love it. Do you think Hasbro would or could ever partner with Crunchyroll to do proper English dubs of Japanese exclusive Transformer shows? You'd have to have a lot of interest. You'd have to have a lot of interest. I don't think they're going to be a fan of going back that far and like recycling old material. I think they're fine with the subtitles. Also, it would be super weird because the VAs are, let's be honest here, the VAs are so much better than they were back in the day. I don't foresee it happening. I mean, if they're going to pay a whole cast to do a show, just do a new show. Let's see. In an alternate universe where Transformers Energon is better written, would a Dark Glass-like episode where Starscream regains his memories and join the Autobots be a good idea? If in a better written Transformers Energon, he would have never lost his memories in the first place, so you wouldn't have a Dark Glass episode. You would just have this vengeance, this Starscream Phantom out for vengeance, who would occasionally cross over the Autobots and not really have anything bad against them, but they might interfere in his goals, which would lead him to be antagonistic. Run in with Alexis would probably calm him down. Again, lost opportunities. Energon is full of them. Would you ever put your videos in podcast form for Spotify, iTunes, etc. if you haven't already? I don't really feel like I need to manage a Spotify or iTunes thing on top of everything else. I do understand that visually my videos are not always the most interesting, and a lot of the info you could just absorb by listening. I found out at TFCon a lot of people do their chores while listening to my videos because the visual aspect is there, but it is mostly just my stream of consciousness that they are listening to. That is really the content here. The visual is just there because I'm on YouTube. I don't really see the need, honestly. I think I'm happy with how things are running right now. Have you ever read Transformers Eugenesis by James Roberts? No, I have not. I've only heard a little bits and pieces of it. I haven't read the whole thing, though. Could you see a steam tractor or steam shovel excavator as a Transformer? Look, we've had toasters and biplanes and all manner of things. At this point, I think every single vehicle is on the table somewhere. Do you think Transformers will ever do a crossover with Sonic the Hedgehog? Probably not. Those are two franchises where I don't feel any kind of need for them to meet up and mesh, The two franchises are good. When you put them together, what do you really accomplish? I just don't feel it's necessary. I don't think it works. I don't think there's any reason why Sonic would ever encounter a Transformer. What is an unpopular opinion that Transformer fandom needs to hear? Let's see. Well, there's plenty. I think most of the ones we got over, because I can say, G1 toys were not built better. They were actually far more prone to breaking than modern toys. Those little gaps in the plastic do not upset things as much as you think they do. The plastic isn't worse, you're just perceiving it differently. There's a lot. Even though we currently have Power Rangers, do you think that the Mystic Knights of Tir-Na-Nog should return? No. It's so generic sword and sorcerer fantasy with a needless Power Ranger element worked in. Years before it, Arthur and the Knights of Justice did basically the exact same show, but better. No. Mystic Knights does not need to return. At all. See, we have comments. We have comments. We have comments. A lot of wrestling comments. See, comment. Thank you for marking your comments so we can hurry up and try and get back to the questions. What do you think the next big property that they'll cross over? See, I keep thinking that at some point we're going to get the Ninja Turtle crossover because it's two 80s franchises mixing it up, and that's, you know, the whole bread and butter behind a lot of those crossover concepts. It just doesn't happen. You know, Hasbro did work with Playmates to actually make the Lightning Collection Ninja Turtles figures based on the comic books to make those work. So they're willing to do it. They're willing to collaborate. I just don't know. I don't know what it takes for them to actually get a Transformer out of it, though. Has there been any thoughts of playing a wizard in D&D who has access to a magic amplification ring just to get a few massive amounts of cooked food for your traveling party? If I wanted to pattern a wizard after a chef, maybe. But then I would need a magic amplification ring. And I can't just ask a DM for one because I want to do funny hee-hoo cooking stuff. I've already got a wizard. I'm playing a wizard in D&D right now. It's going to be a long time before I want to play another one. One in a theoretical Beast Wars reboot, R.I.D. Skybite was a Predacon on Megatron's team. I don't think Megatron from Beast Wars would tolerate Skybite. Not only because let's be honest, he's more incompetent than a lot of the guys that Megatron brought with him to Earth. And I don't think he would I don't think he would put up with the goofiness. I really don't. Question. Who is best Pokemon and why is it Quagsire? Quagsire is a really funny way of spelling Scyther, but you know, maybe that's his foreign name. I don't know. What do you think of Cosmic Fury, and do you think a Power Ranger and Transformer crossover could bring Power Ranger shows back after the reboot that was coming sometime? No. Power Rangers has to do its own thing. I don't think you cross it. I think a Power Ranger Transformer crossover toy is long overdue, but I don't think you use Transformers to like bolster Power Rangers. You shouldn't have to bolster Power Rangers. It's the franchise that killed Transformers once upon a time, and you know, killed every toy line, killed the Ninja Turtles, and that was supposed to be impossible. Power Rangers can do it on its own. It just has to have the right people behind it. As for Cosmic Fury, honestly, I didn't watch it. I've not had the time to watch anything. If you were tasked to replace the herbivores from the G1 Predacon lineup to create a new Predacon team made up of all predatory animals, what animal alt modes would you pick for the new members? Okay, there's a more thought question. I wouldn't stick to just the jungle animals is the thing, you know, like, because we got a lion, we got a tiger, you know, they expand out with a bull and a rhino, but you're still talking like, there's a lot of African animals in there, outside of the bull, obviously. I would definitely, I'd throw in a wolf, definitely, like, and I don't know, I don't know, I'm blanking on predatory animals. It's late. I've answered a lot of questions right now. Yeah, I'm kind of lost on there. Honestly, the mix works fine because you need two big solid beasts to be the legs, and there's not too many like really big carnivorous animals that come to mind. Outside like a lion, where we have a lion in the center. Let's see, what do you think is the biggest missed opportunity in Transformers? There was a concept in Transformers a while, like during G1, that would have incorporated animal elements into the vehicle modes, and I thought the concept looked really, really cool. I really don't like the idea that they dropped that, because I think it would have done better than things like Action Masters and Pretenders, and it would have led to some really weird characters that would have been really fun to do modern toys of now. Thoughts on Bandai's new approach to upgrade their DX Kamen Rider toy lines recently? I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. I mean, I know they can't come out perfect the first time, so at least they're giving those upgrades an option for collectors who want something a little bit better. I think it's fine. Seems fine to me. With these new Earthspark combining toys using the same engineering, do you think Energon Autobots that still combined would come back soon? I really do feel like it's a testing ground. The same way, like we're getting core class Energon Megatron, and according to listings, a Beast Machines Cheetor, a core class, feels like it's dipping the toes in the water just to see if fans are receptive to those toy lines. It does look like if you buy both of those new Earthspark sets, that the Twitch and the Bumblebee can combine and work exactly like a pair of Energon Autobots. So if it works and people respond well to it, yeah, I think it's absolutely a trial run to see if they could get away with it for real. Do you personally prefer Transformers to be traditionally or 3D animated for a series? It depends on the story you're telling. Depends on the style of the characters. You know, I don't think animated would have worked in CGI, the way the characters are designed. Likewise, I don't think Earthspark would have worked in two-dimensional. Granted, there's great two-dimensional art, but none Hasbro is probably willing to pay for. Let's see. Excuse me if I have to shift positions, because I've been sitting in one way for a long time. You know, I'm the type to fidget in my chair and come up with a new position like every 15 minutes. So this sitting down for a long time in one spot gets rough. Who's your favorite Transformer inspired by martial arts / Eastern culture? For me, it is Drift, but it is OG Drift, like the Drift that has elements of a samurai. Not Drift is literally a samurai. Which RID 2015 in the movies did. In the movies, it's uncomfortable. It's really very cultural appropriation feeling. And it's completely unnecessary. I like vaguely samurai-esque Drift from the comic books and the original toy, not the modern version. If Sunder from IDW were to become the official Halloween Transformer, would you rather see him lead a new incarnation of the Horror Cons, or the Transformers equivalent of the Crypt Keeper? Excuse me, voice wearing out. He's definitely not a Crypt Keeper. He's not a storyteller. And I don't know if he'd be a leader. I don't know if he'd be a leader of anyone. I want him to be a horror movie villain. I want him popping up like Jason Voorhees and just as unstoppable. You know, I think that's where Sunder lives. Not necessarily, like a team leader. Definitely not a Crypt Keeper. See, how would each of your parties feel if some of your characters decided to adopt and raise as in Noger? I assume you mean my D&D parties. My Monday party. There's a tiefling girl on the team who would absolutely adore it and probably want to run experimentations on the lightning. Everyone else would be freaked out. On my Thursday team, schedule conflicts over at Gob the Goblins channel live Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That one would get shot down. We have sensible people in that party who'd be like, this is not a good idea. This is not a good idea. Okay, which version of Megatronus Prime do you prefer? The tragic villain or the dark power-hungry Prime? Dark power-hungry Prime. I don't like... Because remember, Megatronus is literally supposed to be the devil. He is literally the devil. Same origin, you know? He's one of God's chosen who fell into grace, became the fallen. Yeah, looks like he came from the underworld. That's supposed to be Megatronus. I don't like the machinima version, where it's just like, oh, he's so sad. He lost his love. Oh, he's so sad. No, that one don't work. That one don't work. There have been many bounty hunters in Transformers, most of which are Decepticons. Should we get more Autobot bounty hunters? The thing is, bounty hunting is not necessarily a good guy thing. You'll notice in Star Wars, most bounty hunters are villains. Samus Aran is the most famous bounty hunter who is a good character, though Nintendo I think Nintendo by their own admission started calling her a bounty hunter without actually realizing what it meant. Because remember, Japanese developers just picked cool sounding English words. Yeah, I think it makes sense that we have more Decepticons than Autobots. I think DevCon needs to stand alone as just like the one good guy bounty hunter. See, how would you do a modern Energon Snowcat? Would he be a legacy figure or a G.I. Joe crossover figure? The original Energon Snowcat is only loosely inspired by the G.I. Joe vehicle, so definitely a legacy figure. I wouldn't do it as a G.I. Joe crossover, if only because he's such a minor character compared to who really needs to be in that toy line. In your D&D themed outro in the last several months, the one player amongst you whose shrill laughter sounds extremely girlish, it belongs to whoever can be heard most clearly and distinctly in the closing moment of the clip. So is there actually a female player in your group? Or is that you just giggling blissfully? No, believe it or not, girls play D&D now. It's not just a boys club anymore. Like, we've got 2 girls at the table. So yeah, we have actually, yeah. That is not just me. No, it's there are actual females in the game. What new video games have you been playing? So, when I got sick, I needed something kind of like mellow, and I had Kirby and the Forgotten Realm, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, on tap. So I played a little bit of that. Did pick up Super Mario Wonder. Played a little bit of that in the last couple days. Also Armored Core 6, which I need to finish. I've gotten into a really bad habit. I did with Tears of the Kingdom too, of getting most of the way and then just kind of putting it down. And I haven't picked it up again. One day I'll have spare time. If you made a Sentai team, what colors would you use? I mean, I like the traditional. I like the traditional red, blue, and yellow. I think red, blue, and yellow always have to be there. I like the idea of throwing a purple ranger in there. And obviously there'd be a green. I don't know. I guess I'm leaving out a purple. I guess I'm leaving out a pink. Pink's a traditional too. So how about red, blue, yellow, pink, and purple, and then we do a 6th Ranger green, cause I'm so sick of silver and gold 6th Rangers. Let's see, as we move on to Legacy United, I'm curious about your thoughts about Evolution Junkions. Are there any missed opportunities you wish they could have done? Definitely more, like, I think the bread and butter for them is Mad Max vehicles, so I don't think they need, like, a flying vehicle per se. I would have liked some kind of monster truck. That seems very Junkion. Also, the ability to just, like, pop the wheels off and plug them in somewhere else would definitely solve the trick to a lot of monster truck engineering for Transformers toys. That's about the only one that comes to mind. Like, even like the truck they have, like the wrecker truck they have, I mean, it doesn't share a mold with the car. Like, there's it shares parts of that. Like, so it's not even like a full-fledged truck. It's weird. But more variety in the vehicles would have definitely been nice. Am I crazy, or would the cast of Critical Role be perfect to voice the DJD if they're ever done properly as an R-rated animated film? I mean, the cast of Critical Role are amazing voice actors. I'm convinced they could absolutely do just about anything they wanted. Let's see. Who do you think next monster crossover line do you want? Wolfman for me, but don't see it continuing. Honestly, I didn't think it'd continue after Dracula. I'm amazed we got a second one. I think Creature from the Black Lagoon, but it does require us to have something aquatic in the toy line. Which honestly, like, we're building up, a need for aquatic characters. So it wouldn't surprise me if we got one sometime, either in Legacy or the next line. Let's see, how do you feel about makeshift teams like Team Hot Rod and Cyberverse and the substitute Autobots? Again, it really depends on the story that they're telling. I do thought, like, in both of those cases, they're ragtag teams kind of pulled together, but it makes sense because the story makes sense. I'm not a fan of ragtag teams that are just there because. unless you do something really great with them, like the Scavengers and IDW. They were fantastic, but even they kind of united in being like just random Decepticons who just kind of go unused, coming together, right? So it's again, it depends on the story. As long as it's told well, yeah, it can work. If you could make your own combiner made out of pre-established characters who haven't been combiners before, what would it be? Fortunately, I actually have an answer for this. And because it's something third party did, and I thought it worked really, really well for them, it'd be the throttle bots. Because you need something else. You can't get away with like throttle bots just being modernized versions of the originals. One, because pullback motors don't really go in Transformers anymore. But also, way too simple. Way too simple. But throw them in a combiner team? That would work for me. I think that would actually be a lot of fun. Do you think Broadside's triple changer nature should be ditched? Absolutely not. It's unfortunate that Broadside's never had a proper go as a modern figure. Never really gotten a really good figure. But I don't think the answer is to like scrap one of his modes. You could do it, like, you could do that in, like, a different version of the character. Like, if the next cartoon, or, like, even if Earthspark decided, like, we just have an aircraft carrier and his name's Broadside, that's fine, you know? Cyberverse did it, too, with Astro Train. He didn't have a train mode. Well, it worked for him. So, that's kind of in my thoughts. I think if you're doing G1 Broadside, you have to make him a triple changer. You have to make him a triple changer. And then, yeah, it would take a new series and a reinvention to just cut one of his modes. Let's see. Outside of Vector Prime, which of the 13 Primes really needs to get its own figure? Solus Prime is the name that came to mind on this one. Because she's been in so much fiction as a background character or as set dressing. And I really feel like she needs some kind of attention on her own. I'd love to see her get like really a proper showing. Could Transformers work as a series wide fighting tournament in a matter style of G Gundam? You'd have to do away with the factions, wouldn't you? You know, and then there'd only be one character per faction that was important. Like if you did at factions the way you did Neo Japan, Neo Germany, etc. Then it'd just be Optimus Prime would be the representative of the Autobots, and everyone else would just kind of get forgotten. It's a fun idea, but I don't think it necessarily works. Unless you really want to take it G Gundam style and just have like there's a combat representative for every like city on Cybertron. So Iacon has a representative. Tarn has a representative. Probably Tarn. Let's see. Well, we all know what November means. Survivor Series. So who would pick your favorite? Face 5 Transformers and 5 heel Transformers. Oh no! Don't do that. Don't make me come up with a whole booking and have to pick 10 characters. It's way too much. I'm just gonna pick 2 combiner teams. That's all I'm gonna do. Aerial Bot versus Stunticon. Why not? Do you prefer series where the robots are actually in disguise, i.e. the Transformers keep themselves secret from people on Earth, or a series where Transformers are openly known? It depends on how you do it. Like, a lot of these questions come down to just, it's really in how you write it. I like the Earthspark method of, like, the world knows about Transformers. Some don't like them, but most accept their presence. And realize, there's good guys here, along with the bad guys. I hate the way the live action did it, where most of humanity hates Transformers, and the military is out to destroy them, etc., etc., even if they're good guys. Because, like, I don't like my heroes being devalued like that. But again, like everything else, it really does depend on how it's written. Transformers Prime kept them in secret, and it worked. How do you feel about Turtles Forever style Transformer Anniversary Special for Earthspark? Where Earthspark characters go back and they're animated in 80s style. Earthspark showed that. We had a flashback in 80s style, so they could absolutely do that. That would be fun. Let's see, is there any fiction that you could potentially cross over with Transformers outside of obvious ones that have already happened before or been officially announced? Jeez. I've gone over so many of these. I mean, again, I think you could work them into most fictions, except Sonic the Hedgehog. Obviously, we already established that. God, I'm trying to think. No, you see, this is again just like this. This takes too much thought. This takes way too much thought to try and figure out like exactly what franchise they would work in. I think I said Doctor Who once. That would probably still be the go-to answer. It's the easy answer to get me out of this one. Who do you think the original G1 Fed bots outside of RC and Elite do you think has the potential to be a new token female teammate? Depends on how you write them. Oh my God, it all just comes down to it. As long as it's written well, it works. That's how, like, I think half of these questions so far you can answer. If it's written well, it will work. Any of them could be. I'd like Firestar. Just as a person, like just off the top of my head, Chromia kind of took that spot, in a few different ways. Yeah, I think you could absolutely get, I think you'd absolutely get to use them. Will you ever do more videos like the Grimlockham's Top 10 Redecos one? Yes. It really would depend on, like, I need to see, I need to see, like, someone else that is, like, known for what they do, and come up with a top 10 or, like, a list that we can do that is appropriate for them and what their knowledge base is. Your example of, like, invite someone on to, like, forcibly expose me to something I've already said I'm not a fan of, I would hate making that video. I would hate making that. Like, but I've already well established I don't like Bionicle, period. So asking someone who is, like, all about Bionicle to come on and basically just torture me with knowledge, no, not happening. I'm sorry, not happening. Like, I don't know why so many people are very insistent on making me a Bionicle fan. It's not happening. Don't do that. If someone's made it clear that that is not something they're interested in, just stop pushing it. It's really rude and inconsiderate. I'm sorry, but it is. Don't do it to anybody. Let's see. Do you have a favorite line of non-transforming Transformer figures? That's tough. Because there's not too many, and they're not good. Like, Construct Bots were fun for a bit. You kind of get bored of them, but even those do have vehicle modes, so that doesn't count. So Transformers Red, I think, were very cheaply done. Transformers Ultimates, I think, are very poorly engineered. This is just really going to boil down to Action Masters, isn't it? I'm just going to take it all the way back to Action Masters just by default. Because at least the weaponry was fun. Is it too late for Legacy to do a live action character? Feels weird that the thing that made Transformers one of the most popular media brands hadn't had any representations yet. They have an entire toy line. It's mentioned before. They have Studio Series. If they want to do something like G1-esque in those lines, they can. They did Barricade. I know he's just a Prowl retool, but, they did Barricade the way he would be. I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. See, since Studio Series is tackling the video game starring War of Cybertron, do you think it could possibly go towards series low? Do you think they could possibly go towards series low, for example, Prime? I'm not sure what you're asking here. Do you think they could possibly go towards series low, for example, Prime? I don't know what you're asking. We already got Prime and Legacy. We don't need it in Studio Series for any reason whatsoever, even if, you're basing it off of a video game. No, I genuinely can't parse that. I genuinely can't parse that. Favorite Owl House character? Oh, God. There's a lot. Hunter grew on me a lot. Amity's character arc is fantastic. There's a lot. There's a lot of good characters. Rain's really cool too. Oh no. There's a lot. You're making me choose between my children now. Okay, person with Tommaso Ciampa as your avatar. What's a fan favorite series figure that everyone likes that you don't? Probably most of the live action based ones. I just got in Mirage because I really liked Mirage. I really liked Rise of the Beast Mirage, and I thought, hey, I'll get him, and surely he will be like, he will touch my heart in a way that will make me okay with the engineering of Studio Series. No, I hate transforming this thing. I hate the engineering scheme of Studio Series toys, unless it's the 86 line, and those are really just Generations figures. Yeah, so it's just like, name a live action figure from Studio Series. I don't like it. Should Hasbro go back to the Unicron era of toys if we were to get another gimmick-heavy toy line? No. If we're going to get a gimmick-heavy toy line again, they should do something completely new. Period. I think Legacy and like the Generation line in general, that's where you do new Unicron era toys. Unrestricted by gimmicks. That's the thing. If you go back to doing a gimmick-heavy line and you incorporate Unicron era characters into it to get them back into the toy aisles, you're basically making them suffer the same thing that caused them to be less than what they could have been back then. You're making them gimmick reliant. And of course, if there's a gimmick toy line out there someday that actually does have something akin to like something from the Unicron trilogy, of course you throw in homages. But you don't make that the place to do them again. You know, I'd like to see them like unbound by the gimmick before we throw them into a gimmick thing again. What would you think of a Cyberpunk crossover Transformers using A6 Jazz's Johnny's Porsche, even painting the arms silver? I didn't play Cyberpunk, so I really couldn't tell you how that would work. Transformers in Cyberpunk stylings in general might be interesting, because cybernetics and robotics are so much more of a natural thing in settings like that. I don't know. Could work. Could work. What's the same character repaint you'd like to see more of? So, like, you mentioned, like, Stealth Bumblebee and all that. I was a fan of Nightwatch Prime. That was always fun. Trying to think. Because we hadn't done those in so long. I actually really liked when they would do, like, an Elite Guard paint job. Like, that's what Bumblebee was in animated. Like, they did an Elite Guard Bumblebee. You know, like, here's his more serious color scheme if Bumblebee actually did become a member of the Cybertron Elite. And that one was fun. That one was fun. I would love to do things like that again. Now that Cosmic Fury could be the last time for using Sentai footage and filming in New Zealand, how would you do a Power Rangers reboot TV series on Netflix? That's a whole question. It's a whole thing I could do a whole video of. Suffice to say, I'd do it animated. I wouldn't do live action, because I think live action is going to limit you, and it's going to draw too many comparisons. I think it's time Power Rangers went animated, because I think you've got way more opportunities in that realm. Are the Transformer Prime episodes reviews still happening? Yes. I know it's been a long time since I started those, and I'm way behind. I've just been trying so hard to avoid burnout with everything else that's been going on in my life. Something had to get cut, and it was that. Also, the way I went about watching the episodes was wrong. I need a different way of doing it. Something that's a little bit more reactive and like keeps it fresh in my mind longer. Do you think we'll see a Transformers X Gundam collab, like RX-78 colored Optimus Prime? You'd have a really hard time on that one. Takara and Bandai did get along long enough to do a little bit of crossover stuff. Like their Tomika toy line actually does have a little time, like basically Japanese Hot Wheels. They have a white base now as part of a crossover thing. Likewise, Bandai got to do a Liger Zero. So there is a possibility there. They did open a forbidden door with that one. I don't know if they're gonna cross the robot franchises though. That one might be a little bit lofty, because neither franchise really needs it. I don't know if they would see one or the other benefiting from it. Do you believe in the rumor that we might see Titan Armada Unicron in the Legacy United wave? No, because the Titan is going to be Tidal Wave. That's pretty much a lock. It'd be cool to see a Titan class Armada Unicron, especially for those who could not get a hold of the HasLab. But yeah, it's not going to be in Legacy United. We're gonna have to wait for a while for another Unicron. Hello. Since we got a question about Mortal Kombat last night, another Mortal Kombat question. Oh my god. Who's the better mentor figure, Raiden or Liu Kang? Well, Liu Kang has only had one game as the mentor figure, but he hasn't screwed up yet. So he's already got points over Raiden. Again, it really depends on the fiction. At least Liu Kang, wasn't the he wasn't he wasn't a god of Earth Realm when he got corrupted. Unlike Raiden. See, there's a lot of comment stuff. There's more comment stuff. Please mark your comments. With the rising popularity of anime in the West, would it be a good idea for Hasbro to consider a new Transformers anime? The expense would probably make this not an option. But potentially, I would love for Studio Trigger to get a hold of Transformers and do something that would be absolutely insane. But outside of that, I think things are nice the way they are. The animes that we always got for Transformers never really measured up to the stuff we got in Western animation, and that's not being biased because I'm an anime weeb too. But I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's going fine the way it works. Our first comment's annoying. Yes. They are absolutely annoying. They're always annoying. You didn't win anything. You're not impressing anybody. No one cares. Just don't bother. Here's the thing with first comments. It's very disrespectful to the video maker because it feels like you clicked on a video and you don't really care about the video. It feels like you care more about just being the first one in the comments section, which is really disrespectful to the content and the creator. Don't do it. Don't ever do it. There is a reason why you do not see first comments on my channel. I delete them all. Congratulations, you've won nothing. Lightly touched on this Sentai, but curious, what's your opinion of Geki Ranger? I love Geki Ranger. Really, really loved Geki Ranger. I like the idea of a play-by-play element to the mecha scenes. I did really, really like the characters. For a while there, Geki Violet was one of my favorites because he's a Muay Thai kickboxer, which is always a fun fighting style. Favorite member of the Wreckers, we already answered. Depends on the fiction. Iron Fist or Roadbuster, generally. And then the final one. Will we get a Transformers TMNT crossover now that Nickelodeon has the Transformers license? They don't have the Transformers license. They just have the rights to air Earthspark. That's a different thing entirely. Nickelodeon does not control any part of the franchise, so there's no real ability to do that. The crossover has to be between Hasbro and Playmates. You have to get two competing toy companies to get along long enough to actually let those crossovers happen. It is possible, especially in the comic books, but for now, no. I feel like if it was a possibility, we would have seen it already. It's just too obvious not to do, so obviously something is in the way. And that is the last question on the list. So, once again, thank you everyone for watching a very extended video as I try to get literally every question answered. Remember, in the comments section, follow the rules. I pinned the post. You should all see them by now. And most of you are very, very good about that this time. Only a couple stragglers who tried to ask for the moon here. But we'll see. So leave the next round of questions in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.
We parlay with the captain.
You would think a werecroc is going to listen to elvish rules of piracy.
Of course it would be the freaking elves that invented parlay.
I had to think of a quick replacement for the French.